Hi, this is Rajah Koppala. A lot of my patients, which is more than about 2,000 a month, ask me to explain about other things in life, other medical facts, or other philosophical or motivational things that attract me. So, I'm just back with one more of my episodes. And today, I'm going to just quickly discuss this book that I've read recently. Okay, it's called Outlive, and it's by a guy called Peter Attia. Peter Attia is a fantastic Stanford-trained professor of medicine. Brilliant guy, has written some wonderful stuff. And his entire book is very evidence-based. He summarizes multiple scientific papers in order to substantiate his claims. So I'll broadly touch upon what is said on this in this book, without limiting myself to the book. I read a lot of such books. Last month alone, I've read about 12 books. So I read about 10 to 12 books a month. And, it helps me get a broader perspective in life. And one thing that my patients commonly ask is how to live a longer, healthier life. And this is a very simple, a very basic question, but has a very difficult answer. And the answer dwells into multiple subheaders. Okay. So quickly speaking, healthcare as we know it, medicine as we know it, used to have a generation where people used to have a disease and you'd give some supportive treatment. This was in the 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, where a lot of diseases did not have a cure or a preventive mechanism. Then came the medicine 2.0, which is basically right from the invention of penicillin. We had antibiotics, we had different kinds of ways of treating and preventing people from dying. So we found people having disease and then we were curing it or preventing it or managing it by various methods, be it diabetes, be it infections, be it cancer, and this is medicine 2.0. But now the entire world is moving towards medicine 3.0. Medicine 3.0 is basically about prevention. How do we live a healthier life? How do we live a longer life? And this is a much more, a much more imaginative topic. There's more speculation here, and there needs to be a better understanding of the data that we see. So to establish medicine 2.0, we would say, look, we gave this drug for 100 people, and 50 people we gave the drug, and 50 people we gave chalk powder. The drug guys worked better, hence this medicine works. That is medicine 2.0. But medicine 3.0, something like, how do I live longer? I'll have to analyze the genetics, I'll have to analyze the type of people that we're talking about, who are the longest living people in the world, what do they do right, and there's a different kind of analysis and different statistical methods are required for medicine 3.0. That's one thing that he says very well, which is why we should be more cognizant of the lot of things that are happening around us, not just what the doctor prescribes. Okay, the tendency to take what the doctor prescribes, which is in many cases, if the doctor is biased because of something, or doctor has a very limited view about things. He just wants to quickly cure this patient, see the next patient, the next patient. We're not talking about overall mental and physical well-being of the patient, right? So therefore, we patients and we the scientific community and we the doctors need to have a broader view of the problem. So the few things that struck me was the number one is genetics. The number one thing that determines the length of your time, or the very important reason, is genetics, and we know that for a fact. So some people in some families live longer, they have less disease and they live longer. And the classic example always given is Japanese, and they have a gene called FOXO3, and people with this gene seem to live much longer than others, for example. And there are so many such genetic examples in some limited communities where people live longer. Now, if you're going to say, doctor, if I will live long because of my genes, then what's this whole book all about, right? Why do I need to study a book? Because you can't change genetics. What if I have inherited bad genes and that means I live less, right? Well, that's not fully true. There are other factors as well, and he beautifully explains the other factors. The number 2 point here is eating well and eating limited, eating less, eating little. This is very, very important. So we have a gene called mTOR, which basically helps us metabolize and use food to make energy or store energy and so on and so forth. And we have noticed that by giving a drug called rapamycin in rats, that we can actually make them live longer, which basically prevents the mTOR from expressing itself. So the fundamental premise of most of our current thinking is that we're eating way too much compared to what we're supposed to eat. Okay, be it carbohydrates, be it protein, but mostly carbohydrates. Our lifestyle, our restaurants, the number of restaurants we have is just way too much. So we have to limit the number of calories taking in. This is as simple as this. It's not about carb versus protein diet, protein versus some other diet. It is just the total number of carbs we take in have to be limited. The total number of calories. Now the easiest way to limit the number of calories is by eating a high protein diet, because protein fills you up faster. So protein diet is not good by itself, but it's good because it gives you less calories the same weight. And in that, there are some better diets. In India, I find that a lot of vegetarian diet, a lot of Indians are vegetarian, not the vegetarians who eat a lot of ghee and sweets and mithai and all, but those who don't, especially a lot of vegetarian communities that have a very limited lifestyle, don't eat a nightly dinner, eat a daytime lunch, and then that to a very limited lunch. They live very, very long. I've seen it through my own patient experience. But that said, vegetarian diet that is limited in calories is very good. Mediterranean diet is supposed to be excellent. Fish diet is excellent. There's a lot of good diets. But again, the principle behind this diet is restriction of the number of calories or restriction of the number of hours of calories, or both if you can help it. So this intermittent fasting or some other thing is not something new. All we're saying is, boss, we have a smaller window of taking this food, hence you will eat less food. That's very as simple as that. Or if you're very clever and very smart, a lot of gym people, a lot of film stars, they measure and they count everything they eat. So they're decreasing the amount of food, bad food that they're eating, right? This is very, very important. It's as simple as that. Number 3 is, alcohol and smoking. Most of these are terrible for you. Alcohol is definitely going to decrease the amount of lifestyle. Smoking almost always kills. Even a few cigarettes a day makes you a smoker and makes things very, very bad for you. We used to once upon a time think that you can take about 1 peg of alcohol a day, blah, 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 but most of that is thrown out of the window. There is still some British authority says that you can drink, but almost American Association of Family Medicine has removed all alcohol from day-to-day consumption, the recommended daily allowance. So they ideally should not be drinking alcohol of any kind. Third is, we will live a better and a longer life by slowing down neurodegenerative diseases, like Alzheimer's, dementia and stuff like that. So for that, there is a 2-pronged approach. One is again a healthy diet, same thing, the same healthy diet I was talking about earlier. 2 is, doing some cognitive things that makes your mind work better faster, right? Doing crossword puzzles, keep your mind active, keeping your relationships active, talking to multiple people as you age, going for your early morning walks. All this will actually prevent your dementia as well. So cognitive tasks along with a good healthy lifestyle is supposed to slow dementia in many communities. People who have a good lifestyle, with a gregarious lifestyle, meeting multiple people, are known to have less incidence of dementia in the eastern communities compared to the western societies where they live alone. So there's a lot of evidence to say that you can slow degenerative diseases like dementia, by which you can live a longer, healthier life. 4th thing is delay cancer, or prevent cancer. The beauty of prevention of heart disease, eating less calories, prevention of degenerative disease, or prevention of cancer, a lot of these things are similar, even for cancer prevention, to stop eating processed food, eat healthy food, stay away from smoking and alcohol. All these things help you delay or prevent cancer. Of course, we find that some people do have a genetic tendency to get cancer, but such people require testing as well. So we require recommended testing every year for some cases, every 5 years for some cases, depending on the risk profile to prevent cancer. Same way, prevent heart disease. I see this music about heart disease saying everybody requires an angiogram. Everybody requires an angiogram to make sure you don't have a heart problem and all, which is again not true. You can safely deny or say that this person does not have high risk for heart disease by doing a bunch of non-invasive tests, and this test should be done based on your risk profile. And this can safely say that you will not have a cardiac event for next 5 to 6 years, or a very less probability. So whenever a VIP or a star dies, everybody goes on this TV and says you require an angiogram, that's not true. Nobody requires an angiogram if you have no risk factors of 35 and 40 years. It's a lie. So we can do some other tests by which we can say that you are a high risk or not, and if you have high risk, we'll require an angiogram. And the other thing that helps you live longer is exercise. Okay, we know for a fact that exercise makes you live longer, makes you live better. People who exercise, people in communities where there are not enough cars, not enough trucks, people who walk much more, they actually have a longer lifespan. So, what should you do? Should you do 3 hours of gym every day? Should you do like 500 biceps, 200 chest presses? Actually, you don't have to do all that. All you do is walk 45 minutes a day, or averaged 45 minutes a day over the week, right? So 45 into 6, you multiply that, you walk it in one day, then other 5 days you don't even have to walk. But ideally, a good brisk walk is fantastic. If you can, swimming is fantastic exercise. It's not just gyms. And if you have to do gym, it's very good as well. And we advise that men above 50 require to go to gym at least once or twice a week to build some muscle mass, because we tend to lose muscle mass with age. So it's very helpful that gyms are also very helpful to go and to do some strength training. But overall, walk, keep it moving. If not anything else, simple decisions like, I will not ever take an elevator. So my rule is I'll never take an elevator whenever possible, right? So I always take, wherever it is, even when I check into a hotel, I'll take the staircase and go up and down, right? So that's simple. That for me gives some exercise for me on the way up. Then sleep. We used to always think that sleep is for people who are losers. Why would you sleep all the time? Parents scold you, children say you sleep all day. All that. Actually, people who sleep are smarter, they live longer, they have a better quality of life, and there's a lot of evidence to prove this. There's tons and tons of evidence that sleep decreases the cortisol levels in your body for 6 to 8 hours, decreasing the stress level, decreasing the chance of getting a heart attack, cancer, and so many of these things. Having said that, in an attempt to get better sleep, taking sleep medications does not really replace it. The quality of sleep that you produce by taking sleep sedatives is of very poor quality. It's not the same as a natural sleep you get. So try to keep it as natural as possible. Switch off your phones 4 hours before the sleep. No coffee, tea after 3 p.m. Maintain a healthy lifestyle. Walk a lot. Do a lot of exercise. By evening 6-7 p.m. you should become tired with your work. And usually sleep is very easy to get for most people. Some people are insomniacs, but then there's treatment. But as much as possible, avoid drugs or medications to give you sleep. They are virtually useless and they add a lot of other things to your problem. Then people who live happier live longer. There's a Harvard study. It's not mentioned in this book. I've read it in this Harvard study. People who live happier. Now, happiness comes in multiple formats. Happiness is not just money. Happiness is having comfortable life or having comfortable expectations with your life. That happiness index is a personal thing. Some people may do yoga for it. Some people may do some penance for that. Some people may join some ashram for that. But whatever it takes, you have to be happy. You have to enjoy and be content with your life. Nobody in life gets everything. So happier people live longer, live healthier. But the most amazing thing is what I'm going to end this with. People who had functional, loving, caring relationships have known to live longer. And this has been confirmed in a Harvard study again. You need to have a good relationship that's very nourishing, that takes care of you. Like, for example, people with a stable family, people with a family, wife and children, who talk to each other, who care for each other, who have dinners together. They're known to live longer and more disease-free. So it's about relationships. Keep up relationships and you'll live longer. It's as simple as that. There's a lot of studies to prove that. Now, in these headers, each of these headers will be summarized to you. But in these headers, there are 3 or 4 points that I will touch upon in individual series, like prevention of heart disease, prevention of cancer, prevention of dementia, then eating habits. These are 4 or 5 points that alone will warrant an episode. Because a lot of myths on internet and YouTube about these things that I'll go on a separate note and explain them maybe tomorrow and as my series goes. But if you have any questions, feel free to try to send a comment, or if not, just send me a thumbs up.